So in this part of the tutorials, we're going to talk about the data types. So as you know, we have different data types such as strings, numbers, objects, and arrays in JavaScript. So here I'm going to create a new file for the data types, datatypes.js, and we need also another HTML file for that in order to check the bugs and errors. So data types .html, there we go, and here I can copy and paste the same HTML code here. So but here I need to change the JS code name, so I need to write data types.js, just the same as this one. Oh, here with the small t, and also here. Okay, let's check if it's correct. The spelling is correct here, same here. Okay, there we go. And okay, we can change some of these. For example, debugging, we can write from now on, we can write debugging instead of calculating stuff, and let's debug. Okay, so let's debug. Okay, now here in the data types, I'm going to define different variables with different data types. And there's nothing fancy about the data types in JavaScript. It's pretty much like other programming languages like Python, but you know, the way we define it, there could be some differences, but it's very much like Python. So for example, I can define let a and then semicolon. Up to now it's not defined, so we've declared the variable but not defined it, so we do not know whether it's a string or a number. And by the way, we do not have such thing as float and integer in JavaScript, and we call them all numbers. Numbers with decimals are float numbers, and numbers without decimals are integer numbers. So we generally say numbers, not integer and float. Keep that in mind. So here I can say a equals 5.3.078, for example, and then I can redefine it and say a equals James. Also, I can declare a new variable and say let b equals a string. So the string could be, a is a string, so let us define a number, for example 4, and then notice that, just as I said earlier, on the VS Code and in the latest versions of JavaScript, there's no difference whether you put semicolon or not, but it's a good practice to put them in your codes in case you use the older versions of browsers, and this is going to work to debug many of the problems. So anyway, here we have 4, and let me define another variable. Let c equals to 6, and here let's console log the addition of them. And as you know, when we add a number in a string, JavaScript will add the numbers and then will convert it to string, and then it will concatenate the two strings together. So console.log, and then inside of it we can write a plus b plus c, and let's see what happens in here. Okay, there we go. So let's go to the file and open up the data types. Open with Google Chrome. Okay, there we go. Let's inspect the elements and see the console here. let's see if we have any errors. No errors here. And James 46. So interesting. So let me see what happened here. We had a number 4 and we had a number 6. So here 4 and 6 are not added together. They're just directly converted into a string, and they have been added to each other. So what if we have another order for adding them up? So for example, I can say C plus B plus A, and let's see what happens there. And so let me, just a moment, let me open up the Google Chrome and refresh the page. Okay, here as you can see it's 10 James, so 6 and 4 are added together, and so we have a mathematical operation adding 4 and 6, and then they're converted into a string and then added to the string James. So the order here matters, and as you can see here we changed the order and it changed from James 64 to 10 James. So the first one we didn't have the addition of the numbers because the first one that was inside the order of addition was a string, and then we had two numbers that were directly converted into string. But when we changed the order, we had C and B, and then we added them, the JavaScript added them together and then concatenate that to string. So converted them to string and then concatenate them with the James. So the result was 10 James. Okay, so that is all about numbers and strings. We also have objects. And objects, if you have followed along with the Python tutorials, objects are like dictionaries. So if I want to define an object, I can say object1, let object1, and by the way, you can write any other name for this variable. You can say O1, object1, whatever you like. For example, I can say here O1, hours, not very much. For example, like very much understandable. So list of students is a better name for it. It's a list of students, and then we have curly brackets for the objects. So then I can say that student 1, and then we have column, and then we can write double quote for the name of the student, for example John, the first student, and then the second student I can say student number 2, student 2, double quote James, and student 3, colon, and double quote, and you can write any other name, for example Helen, and so on. So here let me also console.log this one, console.log list of students. Also notice that here in the strings, in JavaScript you can also use single quotes instead of the double quotes, and you can have double quotes inside of the single quote, or single quote inside of the double quote. So the main reason we use both of the double quote and single quote is for containing a double quote or single quote inside of it, so that these two are not mixed up together. So I'm going to talk about that just after trying this one. But for now, let's see what happens here. Save the code, and in the Google Chrome, I'm going to refresh the page. As you can see, we have the object student 1 John, student 2 James, student 3 Helen, and just as it is. So in the VS Code, we also need to okay, let me show you how the string works here. So I can say a sentence, for example. I'm going to define a sentence. In sentence, right, correctly. Okay, and then imagine that inside of your sentence you want to have a single quote. So for your string you use double quotes. So you can write this is a, and then for writing sentence you can use single quote. Sentence. This is a sentence, and what you will see is what is inside of the double quote. This is a sentence. Or conversely, when you want to, for example, in the sentence 2, then you can say this is, okay, let me use single quote. This is a sentence. And here you can use double quotes for a sentence. So if you want to put sentence inside the double quote, then for the whole string you should use single quotes. But if you want to put sentence inside of the single quote, then you can use double quotes to contain single quotes in your string. So let's see what the result is here. So let me console.log this one as well. Console.log sentence, okay, and okay, let me do the next one in the other line. Console.log and sentence 2. Okay, save this and let us refresh Google Chrome. As you can see, in the first one we have single quote for a sentence and double quote for a sentence for the second one. And here you have the object, you have a string, and there we go. So that's pretty much it. And data types, there's nothing fancy about the data types. You can simply and easily define them. And as you can see, we don't have floats and integers in JavaScript. So it's pretty much easier. And also here I can also console.log a as well. Console.log a before changing it to a string. So save the code and refresh the page. As you can see, we have 5.3078, which is the number with the decimals. And in Python and some other programming languages, we used to call these floats. But here all of them are considered numbers in JavaScript.